First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this first meeting of the Global Health Conference. I'm going to talk about a mela that is not very well known. It is a huge gathering, but not known by many around the world. Now, it's something called Vaisakhi, and that actually means so many different things to different people. What it is actually, the word is Vaisakh, which means it's a second month of the Indian calendar or Punjabi calendar, as you would say. And the Vaisakhi is the festival itself. So essentially it is during the months of the harvest, and it's hence the harvest festival. It is for the farmers, it's a Thanksgiving day, like the Americans have their Thanksgiving day. So this is for the farmers who feel that they are blessed by the gods to have so much crop, and it will last them for the whole of the year. It also coincides with many other religious festivals, and during this festival there are quite a lot of fairs, folk dances, there are war games as well. And there are Bhangra, and some people who have attended some Indian weddings will know exactly what Bhangra means. And it is actually celebrated right across the world, but mainly in India, in all states. Next, please. I'm not sure if you can read this slide, but it is actually, as I said, it means different things to different people. For the Sikhs, it's their new year. For the Hindus, it marks the solar new year. However, in Gujarat, the new year is straight after Diwali, which has just happened in November. For some, the word is actually known as Bikoti, which is a festival where they actually go and dip in the holy waters. They also, some communities actually stone themselves, some of them beat themselves to get rid of the demons they think they have. And then in Kerala, it's known as Vishu, which is a festival celebrated on the first day of the Malayali month, which is called Midam. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this correct, but I hope I am. Now, from where I stand, for Sikhs, it is actually a religious festival, and the Vaisakhi is celebrated on the 13th and the 14th of April every year, whereby there are millions and millions of people across the whole of India who celebrate this in their own way. And as I said, for Sikhs, this actually is a historical event. It is a religious event whereby, if not, maybe most of you probably know, the Sikhs had 10 gurus, and we don't actually call them gods. They are gurus because they brought the message of God to the Sikhs. And it's a very, very young religion, only about 600 years old. And in our 10th guru, who was at that time only called Gobind, he actually in 1699 brought all his followers to his house, which was in Anandpur, and there is a huge temple there now where his house used to be. And he actually formed something called Khalsa Panth, which is actually not a place, but it is a community. And for him, he actually formed this community of faithfuls who wore visible symbols of faith. And I think you might know that we actually wear these silver bangles, and we have other 4 visible symbols if you are a Sikh. And this community was formed and trained as warriors. So hence, this Khalsa Panth, as I said, provided a political and religious vision for those Sikhs on that day. And it was on that day that the first 5 Sikhs were baptized, and everybody, so the males were given the name of a Singh, and the women were given the name of Kaur, which now some people use it as a surname, some people use it as a middle name. So that is hence the religious event. And on that day, we celebrate a number of birthdays for the gurus, and it is on that day that the Sikh was formed. And the temples are decorated by, flowers, and millions and millions of people actually gather, especially at the Golden Temple. If you haven't visited it, I would actually really encourage you to go and see it if you are around in India. And then again in Anandpur Sahib and all the other temples. This actually has been celebrated this year as well in London. Well, we celebrate it every year, but it has been quite a big event this year. And on that particular day, many people actually... Next one, please. Next one. And many people actually choose to be baptized on that day. So these are really large processions, not necessarily just in the grounds of the temples, but people celebrate in their little villages, in their little towns, where you get free food, free drinks to all visitors throughout the day. And it actually, everybody's welcome. There is, no differentiation as to which faith you belong to. People actually have large, have parties, picnics, and it's like a family day out. And usually the advice that is given, next please, there is very patchy public health advice for the events like this. Because in April in India it's extremely hot, the advice that being given is just keep yourselves hydrated. If you're not well, you then alert the first aiders that are around, and they do actually have visible garments that they wear. And, make sure that you have appropriate footwear because it is very hot, and keep the vulnerable and the kids safe whilst having a dip in the lake, because they do actually have dips in the lake on that day as well. So there is quite a lot to be done regarding public health, although, I would say that, yes, it's good to say to people, keep yourselves hydrated. However, do you actually drink the water that is there, or do you have bottled water or whatever? That advice is not readily available at these gatherings. So thank you very much.